And speaking of somebody that I follow on Twitter, it's at Sarah Palin USA on Twitter. Governor Sarah Palin is with us with like 5 million, followers compared to my, 600,000. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? Are you staying warm and dry and
I'm fine. We lost trees on my property, but by the way, not the trees I wanted to go down that I'm not allowed to cut down, or else I get a $10,000 fine. But we lost trees on the property, and I had purchased a generator for the I got a little studio when I record things at home sometimes, so so we're okay, but I feel bad for my friends. I mean, some people, they just got hammered. I mean, their houses destroyed, and, it's the shore in New Jersey and New York and Long Island got hit really, really hard.
I tell you, the round-the-clock coverage of all this, these photos, these pictures are just representing this devastation. And I tell you, from way across the country up north in Alaska, our hearts and our prayers go out to all those folks over on the east that have been so affected.
Yeah, no, listen, and then, the good thing is everybody's stepping up and doing their thing and helping. And by the way, to their credit, both President Obama and Governor Romney are doing their thing. They both donated, and they're both, they delayed their campaigns and stuff. So now we're back to the election. How do you feel about the election now? You look at the different polls. I'm almost beginning to think they don't matter at this point.
I agree. I don't like looking at the polls because everything's so flighty, and the different interpretations and the different poll questions, the way they're being asked. I think people are sick and tired of hearing about polls, and the only poll that's going to matter is that on November 6th. But yeah, we are back to the election, aren't we? Because in 6 days, we're going to find out whether America is ready to be fundamentally transformed, as had been promised by Obama, or will we fundamentally restore all that's good about America? This is the election of our lifetime, Sean, and I'm just praying people's eyes are open in this next week.
There's something that has definitely happened, though, in this election where there's been a dramatic shift to Governor Romney. What do you attribute that to?
I think the joblessness, it has just so opened people's eyes. People are realizing that if we continue down the road that Barack Obama put us on, where people have less opportunity for prosperity, for success, for security, and they're looked at as just being dependent upon the government to take care of needs and wants from cradle to grave, people understand that that's not America. That's not what built the most generous and prosperous and safest nation on the earth. So we need to get back to what it was that built us, and that is expectation for reward for hard work and development of our God-given natural resources in America. That's how we reindustrialize, we rebuild America. That's how jobs are created, and people realize that Governor Romney's, the planks in his platform, represent ways that we can get there. Obama's, obviously, after 4 years, it doesn't work. I can't believe that this even should be close in my mind. I just think you look at 17 million more Americans on food stamps. That's 49 million Americans. 1 in 6 in poverty, 25 million underemployed. Fewer Americans working, $6 trillion in debt. I just keep going to the basics. I don't get it. I don't get what part of failure people don't see here. No, I know why it's still close, and it is very close. So this is going to depend on who shows up to vote that day. It's still close because the corrupt media filters what President Obama has done and intends to do to this country. The corrupt media doesn't call him out on his blunders, his mistakes, his purposeful failed policies, and I believe that some of them are purposeful, so people will become more reliant on a centralized big government, this plan of big governments, and that is to create more dependency. The media is complicit in these failed policies of Obama's.
Yeah. Well, it remains a close race. I mean, it's, 5 points in Gallup, 2 points in Rasmussen in his tracking poll, and Ohio is close, and Wisconsin is close, and Michigan is close, and even Pennsylvania is close, Virginia is close. I don't know what to make of them at this point.
Well, the one part of polling that I have to admit that does confuse me is anyone who is extremely concerned about our troops overseas, about the future of our military and the strength of our military in order for the world to be a more peaceful place. It is America that needs to lead on being a strong military power. So anyone who is so cognizant of where we're headed with our military and concerned about our troops. What confuses me is poll numbers that show positive numbers for Obama from those who are extremely concerned about our military.
Yeah, I don't get that, too. And this whole Benghazi cover-up, you know, it's funny. In the aftermath of Hurricane Sandy, Obama, all right, so he's out there in New Jersey with Governor Chris Christie, all right? And they show pictures of him, I guess, in the Situation Room. I didn't see any pictures of the president when our ambassador was killed, and Ty Woods. I interviewed his father the other night and his family the other night, and he was told to stand down. Who told them to stand down? Who told them, you know, who denied Ambassador Stevens the security that he requested after the British ambassador was attacked? Why did the president not tell the truth that this was a terror attack for 2 weeks after the attack when they knew in real time what had happened?
Well, I'm very pleased that our president now, in the wake of the storm on the East Coast, is saying we're going to cut through the red tape, no bureaucracy. We're going to get to the bottom of what people need and help. I do not know why he has not said that when it comes to Benghazi. And 6 weeks later, still not giving America the answer to the questions that we have about why did we leave our men behind. If that were my son, and I did watch that interview that you conducted with the fallen former Navy SEALs family, and my heart just went out for them, to them, and trying to put myself in their shoes, saying, no, I want to storm the White House right now and demand answers why it is that we did leave brave Americans behind. We're saying today, in the wake of the storm, we're not going to do that, but why 6 weeks later do we still not have answers as to why we did that overseas? Yeah,
I mean, it seems... I don't understand this. And here's what we also know, Governor, and this is what makes this so corrupt to me, is that we know that whatever tape that Ty Woods heard that caused a 41-year-old Navy SEAL to put in jeopardy his entire military career, put his life in jeopardy, these were cries for help. Those tapes were heard in Washington. Those tapes apparently exist. There's videotape from drones. There's videotape from the compound. It was watched in real time. It was recorded. Audio tape apparently came in as well. A request for assistance, that they're under fire. Who said to stand down? Now, the president's showing pictures of him all concerned about Hurricane Sandy in the Situation Room. Well, that's the same room that was getting the information that the State Department was watching in real time.
I believe we are going to get answers, Sean. I believe that this cover-up will be blown by good patriots who do work in the administration and aren't going to allow the lies to continue, the deception. It's not fair to our troops. It's not. I look at our veterans who are so passionate about our POWs, our MIAs. The reason that there is that passion of our vets, of all of us who are so concerned still about POWs and MIAs from wars long ago, the reason that we're so passionate about them, especially our vets, because that is a motto of our military, is we will leave no one behind. No man, no woman will be left behind and will be left to have felt alone and abandoned by their military, by their commanders, by their commander-in-chief. So I do believe that there are people who share that passion for their fellow man, who work in the administration, and they will be the ones to stand up and let America know the truth on Benghazi.
Well, it's funny because the president on Hurricane Sandy, we're not going to leave people behind. And I'm thinking, what about Benghazi? Because, you know, by all accounts and all the information and all the emails and all the testimony, there's no doubt that they were crying out for help and that nobody came. The only people that came was a guy by the name of Ty Woods and another fellow Navy SEAL, and they had to defy orders to stand down to actually do it. And successfully. You know, Ty's father told me, Charles, that he got an email from one of the people that his son rescued in the consulate because he left the CIA annex a mile away and went to the consulate and actually saved him.
My goodness, Sean, there will be persons with a conscience that piques them, that tells them, yes, they owe it to their fellow countrymen, and they will tell the truth, and people will be held accountable for this tragedy that took place in Libya.
Yeah. When you think back, it's 4 years ago when you hit the national stage, and it was a whirlwind from the moment you got into the race. And And obviously, did you at any point feel like the momentum wasn't there? Did you always think up to the end you were going to win, or did you kind of face reality and said this isn't going to happen in this season?
I honestly thought our reality was that America would choose John McCain to lead the country.
Yeah.
I honestly believed until the votes started coming in and we were told to hang it up that last day. I did not believe campaign staffers who were trying to I think just kind of put this wet blanket over the campaign the last couple of weeks. My friends and I, my family on the trail with me, we honestly believed that McCain was going to win, that no way would America believe that somebody who was inexperienced and had promised to fundamentally transform America and had so many questions still unanswered about his background, that America would choose him. And looking back now, you know, I'm much less naive than I was 4 years ago in realizing that people wanted to hold on to something, and they held on to that nebulous, very benign and fake, hopey-changey thing that Obama was promised, because the economy was crashing those last few weeks especially, and people wanted to hold on to something even if it was a false promise. John McCain wasn't going to falsely promise anything. Obama did, and Obama is, the only thing he's really fulfilling is his promise to transform us into something really that we don't recognize. But no, Sean, I thought we were going to win. You know
what's interesting, though, is I agree. I call it Obama mania, and people got caught up in it, and he's reading from a teleprompter, and people ignored any reference or analysis of his background, radical as it is, his lack of experience. I mean, he's totally inexperienced. We've learned now the danger of that, because look at the economy, for one. And it seems that this time a lot of Americans, the greatest hope I do take from polls is that the independents that maybe got caught up in this are saying the reality on the ground here is he has not made this country better. We are far worse off than we were. He didn't keep fundamental promises. He's such a different person than he was in 2008. Negative, I mean, the most vicious campaign I think I've ever seen.
People are looking back at what he said, even on the campaign trail, when he told Joe the plumber that essentially he did believe in redistribution of wealth, which is socialism. People look back at what he said as a United States senator and in his other roles as community organizers and other things, with his energy plan that suggested that necessarily electric prices, energy prices would skyrocket under his policies, all those things that he had talked about. And now, yes, we see that all of that has come to fruition, and you're exactly right. That hit the nail on the head. We're not better off than we had been 4 years ago, and I do believe that here again, people will learn from the mistake that was made, the vote that was cast for the fake, hopey-changey stuff as represented by Obama, and they won't do it again.
All right, Governor Palin, thanks for all you've done the last 4 years. You know what, I always tell people when they ask me about you, because they know we're friends, and I say, that's what I like the most about you, is I've never seen anybody take a punch like you have, and just, you do not let anybody stop you.
I'm not going to let anybody stop me, because I know what's really important. And I look at people who have lost their homes. They've lost loved ones in that storm on the East Coast. I think, okay, they're taking the punch. Our soldiers, our Gold Star moms across the country whose sons are not, and daughters are not coming home from a war zone because they were killed in action, they're the ones who've taken the punch. The punches that I take, they're verbal. They're really quite meaningless, because it's from a punky little corrupt media that I believe the majority of Americans don't believe anyway. So they can keep throwing their stuff at me, and we'll always be happy, and our enemies will know it. So you just keep up the good work too, Sean, and God bless you guys.
All right, thanks, Governor Palin.